So in Tantra, it's one of the very few spiritual systems or spiritual paths that are talking about femininity and masculinity. How do you deal with these things in Tantra?
Wonderful.
And why do you at all consider these things?
We are dealing with this in a wonderful way. Starting again from the basics that Tantra explains and offers methods in working with the energy. Energy is a vibration which establishes always between two poles. And accidentally, the two poles are named femininity and masculinity. Sometimes they are named yin and yang, sometimes they are named minus and plus, lunar and solar, and so on. The two opposites which attract and complete each other. And understanding that this is how the things are, you cannot take only one side, like considering only the masculine way or the yang way or the solar way as possible, because they are not separated. And one of the favorite quotations we use to address is that as well as you cannot separate the fire from its power to burn, or the flame from its power to give light, in the same way you cannot separate the masculinity and the femininity from the manifestation of energy. And in this perspective, without being judgmental, I dare to say that a path which is not considering both sides equally valued is doomed to fail from the beginning. It's exactly as if you would want to have a lot of coins, but only one side of them and not the back. You cannot have them because they exist as a unit with the two faces, the face and the back. And in this way, coming from a Western society and civilization who was based on, let's say, denying the feminine part of the spirituality even, and this reflected even in the way society works, the values which are promoted and so on. Now we can say that Tantra gives back to humanity both poles, the masculine which is polarized by the feminine. And because this is unusual, sometimes it is expressed as a glorification of the feminine principle or femininity. In reality, it is a glorification of both of them as existing together and as supporting each other.
Does this mean that the tantric path is different from men and women, or it's the same?
Well, we are.
The difference.
Yeah. Well, we are different as manifestation. So for this reason, there are differences in the way you apply different methods. Plus, for a man, for instance, learning certain things about himself pose some challenges, which for a woman there are almost no challenges, and the other way around. For a woman to learn about herself, there are things which for her they are, let's say, challenges, which for a man they are banal. He can do that spontaneously. So for this reason, there are differences, and we have to acknowledge these differences and accept them instead of trying to level everything and denying these differences. That's the reason why even in our school we have the Tantra course structured in a basic course where both men and women learn together, and then there are two parts of the course, one for women and one for men. And these are addressing even the style in a different way. The class for men is very rigorous and is emphasizing on self-discipline and achievements and so on, other things than for women. In the women class is more emphasizing on expanding, on enjoying and so on. So even the style is different, plus also the information is somehow addressing issues which are for men and issues which are for women. And today the society somehow tends towards this unisex attitude, which is in a way not only meaningless from the perspective of tantric spirituality, but also damaging, because it is somehow erasing the two poles of the society which are producing dynamism. And that's the reason why people today feel somehow flat, lacking enthusiasm, needing more and more entertainment and excitement for a little spark in their life. So that's the result of not having polarity. That's the result of this unification in a chaotic, misunderstood way of the two poles, treating men as women, treating women as men, everyone trying to prove I can be like them. But that's not the point. So for this reason, the tantric path, exactly as I explained before, is revealing the consequences of each, let's say, option. And the tantric teaching is giving women what is, let's say, theirs, and men what is theirs. And in this way, interesting, they can unite in a very happy, harmonious way also. A woman who learns to develop her femininity will be much more prepared to have a relationship with a man. And a man which is developing his masculinity much more prepared to have a relationship with a woman. And then the result is many happy couples. As a result, very happy society. So the slogan of the 60s, "Make love, not war," would have worked if they would have been following correctly the tantric path. Unfortunately, it was just a slogan to put to sleep the unrest of young generations. But should they have been given the science of masculinity and femininity, the make love not war would have become effective, operational, and people would have been busy making love, thus not making war. So it would have been technically impossible to make war. But they were just talking about it. They were saying, let's make love, not war. But for instance, they were not learning how to make love. And then, of course, after failing a few times, they go to war. What can you do? If you can't have this, you go for that.
I want also to add, in this respect, some things which occur to me naturally. A harmonious life is made of days and nights. Things that you can do during the day, they are unnatural to be done during the night. How would it be having a life in which you are only active and only dynamic and only learning or achieving or running or doing complicated things, striving yourself to do this also in the resting time? You would probably very soon get very sick. The same of, analogically speaking, understanding the polarity. You could be harmonious when you respect your feminine needs, which are in connection, let's say, with the moon energies, and we can analogically put them in connection with the resting and growing time and nurturing period and supporting period and feminine maternal way, with the masculine periods in which you're supposed to be active and to affirm yourself into the daily daylight. So understanding this, it's much easier to understand that, yes, it's true. The two approaches are different because the energies are different. And to repeat myself, what you can do during the day is inappropriate to do during the night. There is a time for everything. And so there is a method for everything, and so there is an approach for the feminine and masculine side.
So my last question would be, can a person coming from the street, having no previous experience and knowledge about Tantra, can they practice these teachings?
Well, first, everybody comes from the street, so we are walking on the streets. So it's not
Nobody falls from the sky.
Nobody is born tantric. And actually, nobody is, after learning Tantra, becoming tantric. You become human after practicing Tantra. That's all. Tantra, as I said, is not replacing you. You can become, there are systems which are putting you in a frame, and you become that. Not Tantra. The definition of Tantra is freedom. So for this reason, after Tantra, you become just a free human being. What is that? Well, it's your freedom. So that's why coming from the street, so to speak, is actually sometimes better. I've seen people who have been trying all kind of pseudo-tantric things, this translation of Tantra from ancient Indian philosophy to Western consumerist society, which is a very unfortunate combination. And after having tried many things like this, they have so many preconceived ideas that they have to remove a lot of excess to become David, so to speak, in that analogy. While people who have no preparation, they go so smooth on this path because practically they learn about themselves, and this is the best material you can have, you. So it's very easy to follow this path. And I would say the best thing to start Tantra is to start it when you don't know anything about it and to do it seriously.
Is there anything you would like to add before we end this?
We can say that this experience of Tantra is something which shouldn't be taught here. It should be taught in the schools. In our opinion, my opinion, Adina's opinion, we are people who have been in the schools. We were teaching in schools different science and so on, and Tantra now, and these are things which don't belong here. We should teach this the children. We should teach these principles in the primary school. Children should grow up with these things, and then we will have a paradise here on earth without mystical approaches, without extraordinary efforts, just giving them the basics of their life, teaching them how to live their own life in a fully aware manner. Children are learning very easy. For us, even body positions from yoga is difficult when you are 30-year-old and you are already stiff. If we start with children, these things can revolutionize the whole planet in a very easy way.
What I would like to add are two things. What I understood after 20 years, what I experienced after 20 years of aiming to apply in my daily life the tantric and yogic principles were expressed by our most beloved teacher, Grieg, in a famous saying that he used to repeat and repeat, that 1 gram of practice valued tons of theory. And I think we have heard this a million of times, and tons of times. But after these years of practice, if I am to say a last word, this would be nobody will understand, not even grasp how great it is without practicing. Is exactly as you can dream about becoming a very good athlete without training yourself. Is just a dream, and you will never feel it inside of yourself. The same with Tantra. If you do not practice what you read or what you have the fortune to hear from a tantric master, as Grieg is for us, it stays just fairy tales. It's just a dream. So this would be my last word, that you cannot understand what is honey without tasting the honey. The same with Tantra.
Okay, we thank both of you very much for coming and enlightening us with your knowledge and experience, and we hope to see you again next year on this festival. Thank you.